This is going to be a tutorial on ghost isolations and some of the variations. A few of them that I'm going to cover is the iso pop, turn, you can do bring it down, the vertical ghost isolation extension. We can do ghost isolation into a smear. Okay, so basically when you do ghost isolations, you're going to want to think of it in quadrants. Or kind of like a compass. You've got north, east, south, west. Or if it were a clock, you've got 12 o'clock. For me, this is 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock. And basically, you're going to start with one hand. You're going to have two hands. Your gripping hand and then your gliding hand. Your gliding hand is going to be kind of open. Even in the beginning, sometimes I like to just trace with my hand completely flat open, like this. And you've got your gripping hand. So basically you're just going to be doing an isolation, but at the same time you're going to be tracing the hoop while you do the isolation. So you're going to start off with your gripping hand on the bottom, your tracing hand or gliding hand on the top, on the outside facing inwards. And what you're going to do is, as you drive the hoop down, you're going to glide your hand over the top. And the entire time you want your hands to be 180 degrees from each other. If you were to pause at any point in time, you want your hands to be directly above one another with the hoop in between until you get over here. And then when you get to this point where your hands, your wrists are crossed where you can't go anymore, that's when you're going to gently trace. You're going to switch your hand from being palm inwards to palm outwards, and at that same time you're going to trace over the back of your gripping hand, and then you're going to trace the inside of the hoop while this hand does the lets the hoop roll over the back of it in the isolation. And when you let the hoop roll over the back of your hand, you're going to kind of push downwards a little bit to maintain contact with the hoop in your hand so that the hoop stays in place. So when you're in the middle, you're going to want your hands to be at 12 and 6. You've got your gripping hand is going to be in the middle of rolling the hoop over the back of it of your hand in the isolation. And your gliding hand is going to be palm down towards the ground. And then when you get back over to 9 o'clock for me, when your hands, when they get to the point where they can't go past each other anymore, that's when you're going to switch your hand from palm on the inside of the hoop facing outwards to palm on the outside of the hoop facing inwards. And you're going to glide it across the gripping hand. So when you go on the left side of your body, it's going to be going across your fingertips. When you go on the right side of your body, your gliding hand is going to go across the back of your hands. And you really want to use a mirror so you can try and keep the hoop in exactly the same spot. And whenever you get over to the side, you really want your hands to be at that 9 o'clock furthest edge of the hoop when they're crossing each other. When they're crossing each other at that furthest edge of the hoop. You don't want to be crossing each other up here or crossing each other down here. So that's how you get the stationary ghost isolation. And then if you want to pop it out, start at the middle, grip it. Instead of flipping the hand and going back around and keeping the hoop isolated, you're going to do an iso pop while you keep your hands in the same length away from you but all they're doing is getting further apart to let the hoop glide in between them. So really you're kind of doing like a gator chop or whatever. I'm a Seminole, go Knowles, but you're doing the gator chop to let the hoop glide in between your hands. They're going to come in the middle, and then you're going to let the hoop glide out. Gator chop down, in the middle, gator chop, in the middle. So that's what you're doing with your arms, and now you're just adding the hoop. And the whole time you just want to think of the hoop as like kind of, I know it's a gross analogy, but you know, it's being born. The vagina is stretching and the hoop baby is being born out through it, and then it closes up behind it. Being born, closes. Being born, closes. Okay, I don't know if that was inappropriate. I'm kind of embarrassed about that, but anyways, hopefully that helps you visualize it a little more. And then another variation you can do is when you get to 12 and 6, when it's in the middle of you, if you want to go perpendicular to the ground or vertical, you can just do a 90-degree isolation turn so that your hands are now on 9 and 3. When you get here, you can push it down, and I find it's easier to have, while it's going down, you switch your hands into the inside, push it up through your arms, you cross it, down. And with the vertical ghost isolation, you want to keep your hands on the inside the whole time. And when they're going down, you let it roll over the back of both of your hands at the same time, and then bring them together. Grab it out, let it roll over both the back of your hands. And when you have it completely extended, you want your hands to be on that point of the hoop, one of the 4 points. So here it would be on the south point, or 6 o'clock. When it's fully extended to the bottom, it's on 12 o'clock. And then, so say you're doing a standard ghost isolation, and right now I'm going vertical if you want to go horizontal, or vertical where your hands stay within the hoop the whole time. You can pause, and now you can do a fold. Bring it down. And what you can also do is while you're doing the fold, you can do that same isolation movement. So it's a fold isopop, ghost isopop. So you could be, and then, or you could do, and if when you're switching from doing the vertical isolation, ghost isolation, to the horizontal stationary ghost isolation, you're gonna let it go. Cross your hands over the top, get to the bottom. This hand's gonna kind of stay there for a moment while this one goes from being, so they were going the same opposite direction. Pause this hand, keep it going around the same direction it was going, and now you're gonna start over. Oh, I'm not even sure. Okay, so let's start that over. They're going towards each other, and then when you get down to the bottom, you're gonna pause. You're gonna go over to the, move only this one hand to the top, and you're going to continue going in the same direction or current that you were going in before. And then say you get to one of the points, 9 o'clock for me, and you pause, you can flip it around and do a smear, flip it around, ISO out. So say you start off doing a smear, you can pause, your hands are at 6 and 12, perfect to get into the ghost iso. So whenever your hands are in those positions that we talked about, where either they're across from each other at 6 and 12, or they're at the same point on either 9 or 3, those are perfect times to either stay in the stationary isolation, or you can push it outwards and do an extended ghost isolation. And then combining, turning with it helps to really find the fluidity in it. You have one gripping hand the entire time, and the other hand is just tracing it. It helps to keep it open, palm open, and then eventually you can grip it to let it slide through. But all you're doing is this movement, but it actually feels easier because you have another hand to help guide the hoop. So whenever you're extended away from you, you always want to be on that east or west point of the hoop. Anyways, I'm not sure if that was helpful, but I hope that you can get something from those tips. Thank you.